did the Three Stooges understand about failure that modern culture forgot? Imagine showing the average motivational speaker a Three Stooges film. Within 30 seconds, he would probably stop the projector. "This is all wrong," he'd say. "They don't have a growth mindset. They don't set SMART goals. They don't communicate effectively. They don't leverage their strengths. They don't optimize anything." He's right, they don't. And yet somehow, 90 years later, people still watch them. Because the Three Stooges understand something that much of modern self-improvement has forgotten. Failure is not an interruption of life. Failure is the texture of life itself. Every generation inherits a different mythology. Today, we're told that successful people have a plan. They identify a goal. They execute. They overcome obstacles. Then they arrive. Life is presented as a straight line with occasional bumps. The Three Stooges reject this completely. For them, life is not a straight line. It's a staircase where every third step is missing. And strangely enough, that's a far more accurate description of reality. The great lie about competence. As children, we assume adults know what they're doing. Then we become adults, and we discover something unsettling. The plumber improvises, the manager improvises, the doctor makes educated guesses, the politician improvises, even parents improvise. Civilization functions largely because millions of ordinary people wake up every morning and solve problems they did not expect to have. The Three Stooges knew this instinctively. Notice how every story begins. Someone hands them an ordinary task. Paint this room, repair this machine, deliver this package. Nothing extraordinary, no dragons to slay, no kingdoms to save, just work. Then reality intervenes. A nail bends, a rope snaps. Someone misunderstands an instruction, and suddenly a simple afternoon has become an engineering disaster. The comedy isn't that they're incompetent. The comedy is that competence has limits. Reality always gets a vote. The Stoics would have recognized this. Marcus Aurelius wrote something extraordinary. He reminded himself every morning that he would meet interference, ingratitude, arrogance, and confusion. Most people read that and think it's pessimistic. It isn't. It's preparation. Disappointment requires expectation. If you expect perfection, reality feels insulting. If you expect difficulty, reality becomes manageable. This is exactly how the Stooges live. Every disaster simply becomes the next disaster. They never stop the film to ask, why is this happening to us? They don't believe the universe owes them a smooth afternoon. Modern culture often tells us that setbacks are exceptional. The Stoics and the Stooges suggest something different. The setback is the normal condition. Progress is what occasionally happens in between. Failure has become too personal. One of the strangest developments of modern culture is that failure has become part of identity. People no longer say, "I failed." They quietly conclude, "I am a failure." The distinction is enormous. The Three Stooges never confuse the two. They can destroy an entire building and somehow retain complete confidence that tomorrow's assignment will go better. Objectively, this confidence is absurd. Psychologically, it is liberating. Children naturally possess this quality. A child falls while learning to ride a bicycle. He gets back on. Adults often spend more time explaining why they stopped trying than children spend trying again. Somewhere along the way, embarrassment becomes more frightening than failure itself. The Stooges never seem embarrassed for very long, and because they don't dwell on embarrassment, neither does the audience. Why their violence isn't really about violence. Critics often describe the Three Stooges as aggressive, but the remarkable thing isn't that they hit one another. It's that they forgive one another almost instantly. Within minutes, they're cooperating again. Imagine if modern friendships worked that way. Instead, contemporary culture often encourages permanent grievance. One misunderstanding becomes a lifetime of resentment. The Stoics warned against this. Anger, they argued, is often self-inflicted suffering. The Stooges experience anger like a summer thunderstorm. It arrives dramatically. It passes quickly. Then they're carrying the same ladder together. Perhaps the real joke isn't the eye poke. Perhaps it's how quickly they move beyond it. Success is boring. Here's an uncomfortable thought. Imagine a Three Stooges short in which everything goes according to plan. They arrive on time. They communicate clearly. They complete the assignment efficiently. They receive payment, they go home. Running time, 6 minutes. No one would watch. Stories require friction, so do lives. If someone could condense your entire existence into its smoothest moments, it would be remarkably short. The memories that define us usually involve confusion, mistakes, and unexpected detours. The promotion that came after being laid off. The spouse met because a blind date went wrong. The lifelong friend encountered after missing the intended train. We understand this when we tell stories, yet we forget it when we evaluate our own lives. The hidden wisdom of Larry Moe gets the attention. Curly gets the laughs. Larry gets overlooked, which makes him perhaps the most realistic character. Larry spends much of his time reacting. He didn't create the problem. He can't solve the problem. He's simply caught in the middle. How many people spend their lives exactly there? History celebrates heroes. Most societies are actually sustained by Larrys. People who adapt, people who endure, people who continue despite confusion. There is quiet dignity in that. Baby boomers understood this better than anyone. Many people who grew up watching the Three Stooges also grew up in households shaped by the Depression and World War II. They inherited a practical philosophy. You fix what you can. You endure what you can't. You don't expect life to apologize. That attitude wasn't born from theory. It was born from experience. Modern culture often promises control. Control your habits. Control your finances. Control your relationships. Control your future. These are useful aspirations. But eventually life reminds everyone that some things refuse to be controlled. Health changes. Markets change. People change. The weather changes. The Stoics called this fate. The Three Stooges called it Tuesday afternoon. The older I get, the less I think the Three Stooges are about comedy. I think they're about permission. Permission to make mistakes. Permission to misunderstand. Permission to create disasters that eventually become family stories. Because the alternative is exhausting. To believe that every failure reveals some permanent flaw in ourselves. The Stoics argued instead that character is revealed not by avoiding adversity, but by meeting it well. The Three Stooges don't meet adversity elegantly, they meet it noisily, but they meet it again and again and again. Perhaps that's why these films survive. Not because they show extraordinary men succeeding, but because they show ordinary men refusing to believe that one ridiculous afternoon defines an entire life. And if there's a philosophy hidden beneath all those falling ladders and flying pies, perhaps it's this. Life isn't asking whether you'll fail. It's asking what kind of person you'll be after you do. And maybe the wisest response isn't despair. Maybe it's to straighten your tie, pick up the toolbox one more time, look at your friends, shake your head and say, well, let's try that again.